Hey folks, welcome to today's live stream. Let's go over the relevant Bitcoin pivots and talk about upcoming compression. So to start off, let's initially talk about daily 500. Support did seem to hold, although there was a period of both increased volume and volatility directly on the pivot, which is pleasant, I suppose. We had a nice bit of compression range there, and we had our daily 14-period CCI roll-up, which occurred right there, and it is very safe to take long positions in an uptrend during swing lows. So I am long for the moment. We did have a 14-period roll-up right there. Previous roll-ups were right here and here, and there was one here as well. So, you can take a pretty safe long right now. Just stop loss with a lower low, and then you just expect maybe a 10 to 20% upside. So, pretty safe positions right now on the daily chart. Let's talk about the 1 hour chart, because currently that's what's going to define our range over the next 24 hours. Okay, so we are looking at, what does this mean, reversion condition? Oops, there's too many lines on this chart. Let's just limit that just a touch. Beautiful. Okay. So we have an active mean inversion, which occurred here, right, which we talked about last live stream. Initially, we saw the rejection off of this pivot, but we said if we would return inside this band, it would imply that we would both stay inside this band and eventually revert to this moving average. And lo and behold, that's what happened. Our compression range is slowly expanding, which means price can continue to, trend in a sense. Now, this compression range is pretty impressive as far as actually defining compressing price action. And it looks like we finally broke outside that 1.25 standard deviation, which did lead to a new expansion while still maintaining a volatility overhead. If you look very closely on the 3D Wave PM, this is really aesthetic. So where we have the volatility overhead defined here, and you'll see that any expansion has occurred, which is the bright lights lighting up throughout this section here, has only occurred below the volatility overhead pivot. Just really nice. And the trend has stalled right there, directly on the mean. So kind of just implies lateral trading, sideways movement. I know, pretty unexciting. However, as far as our pivots go, trend-defining pivots aren't really going to last much longer. New expansion can occur. Mean inversion has completed. This should technically be our swing high of the range, and this should be our swing low. What we saw from our previous mean inversion conditions was just an extended period of lateral trading following each successive period. I would not be surprised if that was also the case. Our current support is around our previous low, 9,400, with our swing high being around 10,000. So, not a lot of predicting I can do at the current moment. On the 15-minute chart, we do have a brief overexpansion, which should be our trend-defining pivot, at least for the next 24 hours. Compression range down here is holding really well, too, with our swing high being well-defined, our mean inversion condition also being well-defined, and our compression range holding perfectly throughout. I mean, this chart is just so clean. It's if there was a textbook on this material, I should probably write it eventually, but this would be a textbook example of good compression ranges with good mean inversion conditions and lateral mean inversion, where the mean takes the time to travel down to meet price instead of price traveling up to meet the mean. Really, it's just astonishingly clear. What we're currently looking at is our current overexpansion. We are currently tagging along the 3.2 standard deviation of the current overexpansion, which can be defined by this hairline that we see here. And as long as we are above this current pivot of 9,693, that should be good. If you want to enter a long position on Bitcoin at this current time, the tightest stop loss you could reasonably set is going to be around 9,669. So let's just draw in a support right there. If you were to enter a long position right now, that's where you would want to put your stop loss, because any kind of price movement below both the 1.25 standard deviation of the compression range and the current longest overexpanded period, well, that's going to perform very well. And you know, you could set up a trailing stop with a value of 1.15%. Let's actually do 1.25%. So that any further upward price movement will actually better follow that 1.25 standard deviation of the current longest overexpanded period. So this is our support. Any tests of that support would be ideal long positions as well. You can manually draw in a trend line like this. It should define trend pretty well. Okay. So any tests of this value down here are going to ideally catch support values in theory, and if we do break this, we will enter a new compression range as defined by the values of 9545 and, well, 9693. So if we do break support, we should compress between those values for a short period of time, and over the next 24 hours, I'd say, but at the time being, we do have trend, so do bet on trend until trend is over. Then when trend is over, you have a nice compression range to trade, as we have previously seen throughout this compression range. Hooray! So really clean trading today. I like the chart. A lot of good opportunities to profit. All right. So using the values I defined today, make sure you take good positions, and always use a good stop loss, my friends. Don't over leverage. Well, actually, you can use pretty high leverage on this 15-minute chart because the support is just so well defined. You know, if you want to enter a really nice position at 9,700 and just use a stop loss of, say, 0.5%, beautiful. Although, just, you know, it's nighttime, and I really would recommend babysitting a position on the lower time frames like this, so do be careful. You know, if you're in Britain, happy trading. For me, I'm going to bed, so you should have some good opportunities if you have the time to micromanage it. Just be aware that entering along now isn't the best idea, because trend should stall at this 3.2 standard deviation of both the 4-hour compression range and the 15-minute compression range, and the 3.2 of the longest overexpanded period down here as well. So be safe, don't over leverage. Let's check any comments. I doubt it. Hey, what about the 500 period daily? It's a good question. It seems to have held. We had the 14 period CCI roll up. I have a slightly bullish bias. I just expect us to go sideways for the rest of the day. Actually, let's draw it out like this, because this should be a good explanation for you. Right? This is the mean inversion pivot. If trend continuation were to occur, it would look something like this, where we have this increasing here. Price would just go sideways, and then it would be forced to either revert to mean and compress, or to continue trend. So I don't think anything is going to happen over the next 24 hours. If there were going to be trend continuation, I would expect a lateral move and then trend continuation. I do not think price will go up from here immediately. So probably not going to miss anything unless we do end up mean reverting. And that'll be probably the most interesting price action we'll have. But we should just go sideways and then see trend continuation somewhere around midday tomorrow. So that's my prediction. It's been a pleasure. I'll talk to you all tomorrow at 1 p.m. MST. I'll be on time tomorrow, so stay tuned. Love you guys. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Ciao.